chocolate cereal is the probably top 3 breakfasts that my kids request on a regular basis. And so today we're gonna make some chocolate cereal together. It is a gluten-free recipe, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's healthy because there's lots of sugar in it, but it is delicious, it's homemade, and my kids absolutely love it. Okay, we're gonna pour our mixture of oats and brown rice crisps in the bowl. Then the cocoa powder, the nuts, salt, sugar. So all your dry ingredients, and then I'm just gonna give it a good mix until I can see that that cocoa powder is really nicely distributed throughout all of the oats and rice cereal crisps. It's looking pretty good there. You can see that it's pretty well mixed in. And now I like to add the liquid ingredients really quickly so that one section of the dry ingredients doesn't get too soggy. So I'm gonna add our oil, vanilla, syrup. Now, if you are someone who doesn't like a lot of sugar or too many sweets for your kids, or you don't want to use like granulated sugars in what you're cooking, you can just use the maple syrup in this recipe. It just, if you're using 100% cocoa powder, which is what I use, you just might find that you need to maybe put a little syrup on top of it when you serve it as well. But that's completely up to you. So now that I have it good and mixed here, you can see everything is pretty nicely coated. Throwing some on the counter. Just gonna move over. I have 2 prepared baking sheets with parchment on them. You don't want to overcrowd your baking sheet in this when you're baking this, because then it won't cook nicely the way that you want it to. It won't get that nice dry crispy texture that you get with granola that you're looking for. So you're gonna kind of mound it up and then just spread it out the best that you can. And if you notice it's a little too thick, like this is looking a little thicky here, I might end up taking some off. Here's another one. And yes, my baking pans are very well loved and highly seasoned, and they were at one point silver and now they are black. I do a lot of cooking, so just the way it goes around here. Alright. This one is a lot thinner, so I am going to take my scoop of the nuts and I'm just going to scoop from the other one and even it out. Like that. Spread this around. And then we'll put it in the oven and it'll bake at 300 for about 25 minutes. I do, because I'm using 2 pans, this is a large recipe, I do like to switch my pans halfway through baking. And so at around 10 minutes, I'll go in and kind of give it a mix and switch the baking pans. Alright, and they're ready to go in the oven. Cereal, almost done. Okay, so now that our cereal is cooled, I have clean hands, we are going to break apart the cereal and then place it in an airtight container to store. And then we'll label it and all that good stuff. But, so it's cooled now, and you'll see that it's coming apart in like clumps like this. So honestly, I just leave the clumps big and just throw them in there, and they kind of break on their own. But the bigger the clumps, the better, in my opinion. Some of it just breaks apart in small little pieces. But just break it up and you put it in the container. Okay, now I'm gonna label the cereal just so that we know what's in the cabinet. So I'll put the lid on, seal it, and then I like to use these wet erase markers. They're the markers that everyone fought over in high school to write on the teacher's overhead projector. And I love them because they just wipe off with water. But I'm just gonna write on here chocolate cereal. And sometimes I'll put the date, but I know in this house this isn't gonna last more than a week, so there's really no point at this time, but you can always put the date. Usually I'll just do the month and the year. So now my kids are gonna be so happy. They have chocolate cereal and a bonus of chocolate milk for breakfast.